Guys, why do we stay stuck in places that we know are not good for us? Why do we stay stuck in situations that we know do not serve us? A lot of the time, it's because there's a payoff. It's because there's something that's holding us there and we're not consciously aware enough of this payoff in order for us to step away from it. Because I know that if you were consciously aware of that payoff, you would either be able to give that to yourself, or you would be able to find it in something else outside of you that wouldn't hurt you. We stay stuck in places that do not serve us out of fear. We stay stuck in places that are toxic to us and that hurt us for longer than we should because we're not learning the lesson. And there's many different lessons that we've come to Earth to learn, and it all depends on the situation that you're in and what you're doing and who you are as a person and all the factors that come into it. But you stay stuck in the situation that you're in because you're not valuing yourself enough. You're not seeing your own worth. You're not looking at yourself in the mirror and actually giving yourself the credit that you deserve. I feel like if you're stuck in either a job that won't give you a pay raise, or a friendship that's hurting you, or a relationship that isn't caring for you in the way that you need it to, it's because you're not giving yourself enough. You're waiting for that thing that's outside of you to give to you. You're not staying because you love that thing. You're staying because you love the potential of what you think that thing is going to give you. You love the payoff of what you think you're going to get from this thing. Let's take relationships for an example. If you're with someone who you know is overstepping your boundaries, who you know is emotionally unavailable, who you know will lash out at you if you try and communicate to them, or you know will try and ghost you if you're not the desirable person that they want you to be, and they want you to show up in a certain way, although they're not willing to show up for you in the way that you need them to. If you're staying with that type of person, a lot of the time that's a sign of codependency issues, first of all, and you either have an anxious attachment style or an avoidant attachment style, and that other person probably has the same, right? But if you find yourself constantly with those types of people, a lot of the time it's because you have this thought in your brain, and it's like this unspoken contract with this other person that they don't know about, because that's, it's unspoken, right? You have this unspoken contract where if you give enough to them, you expect them to give to you, and vice versa, right? And that's what codependency is. It's you expecting something from somebody else based off of what you give to them. And this a lot of the time can come in with people pleasing. If you're a people pleaser and you're constantly giving, you're not giving because you want to give because you're a good person. You're giving because you expect something in return, whether you're consciously doing it or subconsciously doing it. That's the root of people pleasing, is actually a form of manipulation. Even though it's not conscious manipulation and it's not a malicious form of manipulation, you are still expecting somebody else to play a role that they haven't agreed to. And a lot of the time when we're in this symbiotic kind of a relationship with someone where you're both codependent and you're both expecting each other to be able to meet the other person's needs, there can be friction, especially when one person maybe chooses to grow and one person is working on themselves and they want to now suddenly have a secure attachment style. Because what happens then? Suddenly the other person who's codependent is going to either lash out or get confused as to why suddenly your dynamic is changing, or just not respond very well to you, right? And what does that mean? It means now that external resource that you've had for such a long time, whether you're the one who's choosing to change or whether you're the one who's choosing to stay the same in this situation, right? That external resource of you leaning on them the same way they're leaning on you suddenly isn't there anymore. And when that falls away, what are you left with? If you haven't learned how to give to yourself and you haven't learned how to fill your own cup up and you've expected somebody else to do that for your whole life, how are you going to cope when that other person suddenly isn't there anymore? Because that's what happens, right? That's what happens a lot of the time, especially say with a people pleaser. A lot of the time people pleasers, they don't set boundaries. They don't know how. Or They're afraid to set boundaries because they know that this other person is going to lash out with them, because that's the symbiotic relationship. That's the unspoken energy dynamic, where one person is doing all the work and giving and giving and giving, and the other one is taking and taking and taking and giving nothing back. But when you're the people pleaser and you wake up one day and you realize, oh, wait, hold on, I've been giving to this person and they're not giving back. They're not emotionally available the way I need them to be. They're not supportive in the way I need them to be. Oh, maybe they're actually quite toxic and they're treating me badly, and I'm staying because there's a payoff. You'll stay because you're expecting that payoff, right? Sorry guys, I had to turn the light on, it was getting kind of dark. Okay, so what do you do now? If you're the one who's decided to walk away, if you're the one who's decided to grow and make changes and to become a better version of yourself, and you're walking away from a relationship that you know is causing you problems and you know is unhealthy for you, and you know that you deserve better and you're worth more than that, how do you now fill up your own cup when all you've ever known is somebody else trying to fill it up for you? Even though when they were trying to fill up your cup, it was only ever halfway. Not because what they were trying to give to you maybe wasn't good enough. Sometimes people do try their best and they try their hardest to give to you, and they do love you genuinely, but if you're not giving to yourself, then how can they ever possibly fill up your cup with your needs if you don't know what your needs are? And you'll only know what your needs are when you start fulfilling yourself. Now, that's not to say that you haven't been in past relationships or friendships where these people have been taking from you. That does happen a lot, especially if you're an empathic person or a highly sensitive person, even a neurodivergent person. A lot of the time, there are people in the world who would want to take advantage of you. But not everybody's like that. Not everybody wants that from you. So let's say now you've done it and you've walked away. How do you fill up your own cup? How do you love yourself the way that you need to be loved? A lot of the time, this is a huge self-discovery journey that you can't just figure out in one day. It's something that you have to continue to work on and continue to discover within yourself. This is an internal journey that you're now embarking on, because it's not going to happen all in one go. You have to sit with yourself and first of all give your past self the love that you always deserved but never got. You have to go back through your memories, find your younger self, your childhood self, your teenage self, and figure out what love they needed that they didn't get, and figure out how to give that to you. And that's always going to look different depending on who you are. Some people like to just sit and feel the emotion of love as they sit with their younger self and they visualize their younger selves in their minds. Other people like to do childhood activities. You know, if you loved to colour and draw when you were a child, go back to that. Buy yourself a little sketchbook. If you loved reading as a child, go read one of your favourite books that you once read when you were a little kid. Some people like to take themselves out to dinner or out on an afternoon and spend the day with themselves, spending time with themselves. It depends what your love language is. Find the love language that you deeply desire and give yourself that. Then start loving your present self. Start giving to you now. Start finding things that you can do for yourself. Start planning your future. Start living the life that you've always desired. A lot of the time, if you're a people pleaser, you've lived for other people for so long. You might not be in the career that you wanted to be in. Maybe you only went into that career because you were told that you had to by somebody else, or somebody else wanted that for you and you did it to please them. Maybe you hate what you're studying right now. Maybe you don't actually like the hobbies that you've picked up over the years. Maybe you don't really know yourself that well, because the version of yourself that you present to yourself is a version of you that was curated and made for other people. Maybe it's time to start figuring out your own identity and start getting to know yourself again. Start trying new things out again. You might not like all of the things that you try, don't expect to, but just allowing yourself the space to explore is where to start. And as your identity starts to shift, as you start to discover who you are again, your ego might not be so happy. Your ego might try and get in the way a little bit, and this can look like either anxiety or self-sabotage or fear. Even states of depression might come up. But this is all just your ego now having to get used to this new version of you. The ego is the last thing to want to change, and it's because it's trying to protect you. So how do you combat this when the ego decides to get in the way? The answer is actually giving yourself more love. It's being patient with yourself. It's sitting with you and your ego and asking yourself, what do I need right now? Do I need to self-soothe? Do I need to just take it a little bit slower? Do I need to focus maybe on even more out there things? Like I find a lot of people who have been people pleasers in the past, their root chakras might be a little bit unstable or insecure. And that's where your lack of security within yourself is coming from. You might need to look at things like that. Maybe you want to start exercising again, but you're having a hard time getting into it because your self-identity isn't associated with someone who exercises. If your self-identity was somebody who exercises, or somebody who eats healthy, or somebody who loves themselves, you would naturally get up and go and do those things because it's part of your self-concept and how you view yourself. When you're a people pleaser and then you decide to change that and you decide that you want to make a better life for yourself and you want to do things for you now, a lot of the time your self-concept will shift in drastic ways. And it takes time to get used to that. It takes time for you to get to know this new version of yourself, and what you need to do is just be patient. Don't expect yourself to have all the answers straight away either. A lot of the time we try and rush and we try and move through things quickly because we don't like discomfort as humans. As humans, we like to feel comfortable. And our way of feeling comfortable is by staying the same and resisting that change. But we know consciously and logically that change is inevitable. Change, the only thing that doesn't change is change itself. That's always been the expression, right? It's time to step forward as this new version of yourself. Don't do it all at once. Take your time. Look at your future self. Start planning for your future self. Look at who you want to be in 6 months' time or in a year's time, and hold that vision in your mind. Hold that vision in your mind's eye and remind yourself of how incredible your life will become when you start putting yourself first and you start visualizing what you want for your future for you. Start doing things for you. Start loving you. I hope this has been helpful, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a beautiful day.